You are listening to the IFH Podcast Network. For more amazing filmmaking and screenwriting podcasts, just go to ifhpodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to the Successful Screenwriter Podcast, where we discuss anything and everything screenwriting. Here we interview successful screenwriters and filmmakers to find out just what it takes to make it in the industry. Welcome to the podcast. I have an amazing guest today, Chairman of Emagine Theatres, Paul Glantz. Paul, thanks for being on with us.
Thanks for having me, Geoffrey. Great to be with you.
So, going to the theater is my church. I grew up in it. I love theaters. One of my first jobs was working at a theater. I did run the concession stand. I don't want to get too much into that. So I know that you started Emagine Theatres, and it really took off locally and then even branched out into other states.
Yeah, I mean, our roots go back to 1989, and you said you worked at a concession stand, and I got to tell you, going back to 1989, I was making popcorn, selling tickets, sweeping up after the show. So wow. I've done it all. And it's true that we've been very fortunate. We've been able to grow the business mostly organically over the years. It started out with one new build theater up in Birch Run that we opened in 1997.
Wow.
And we've taken that to Southeast Michigan in 2002. And subsequently, in the last several years, we've branched out into Illinois and Wisconsin. That's
absolutely amazing. So this started for you more of like a passion project, or did you just really feel like this is what I need to do? I need to start this kind of a boutique theater to really kind of up the game of the movie theater business. Because when I came, when I grew up, I mean, the floors were sticky, the concessions were overpriced and cold. And then here comes Emagine Theatres with amazing chairs that the legs lift up and they're super comfortable.
Yeah, I would tell you that I didn't have a vision per se that we were going to operate these spectacular theaters, but it evolved over time. And it evolved because you look at what folks respond to. We noted that, and correctly so, that our indirect competitors, streaming and DVDs, so things of that nature, were becoming more prolific, greater opportunities. It was more convenient. And so, yeah, I think we had to up our game. And I would tell you that, we've gone through two paradigm shifts in the last 20 years.
Okay.
The first was the advent of stadium seating. And stadium seating was a game changer because there were no obstructive view seats anymore. You didn't have to look through the woman with big hair in front of you or the tall guy.
Yep.
And so we were very fortunate that we were on the front end of that paradigm shift. So when we opened Cinema Hollywood, which is now Emagine Birch Run, in 1997, we were the first all-stadium seating theater in the state of Michigan because we beat Star Southfield by about 2 weeks. And then the most recent paradigm shift is really the advent of luxury seating. Reclining chairs. Now our chairs not only recline, but they're heated. And so I think the job that we've got at hand is to continue to make the out-of-home experience exemplary. And if not, you're going to vote with your wallet and you're going to stream.
So you've got heated chairs now?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, how do you get by without them?
It's amazing. I mean, because I remember coming up and sitting in the old hard plastic rickety chairs that usually had like a cigarette hole in them or like bubble gum plastered somewhere, and then you sit down and they were not comfortable. And then I remember going to Emagine Theater and somebody kicked up the feet of the thing and leaned back and went, "Oh my God, this is a whole new experience." And Emagine is really cool because you guys have been on the front end of technology. I think you guys were one of the first theaters to go digital locally, right?
Not just locally. Actually, we were the first theater chain in the world to commit to 100% digital cinema.
In the world? Wow.
In the world. And I've got the press release to show it from our integration partner. And that goes back to the fall of 2005. And we began installing them in late 2005. And in 2006, by the time 2006 came along, we were 100% digital. Now, what was interesting about being on that bleeding edge was that we had to create dual projection systems in every one of our 46 auditoriums.
Wow.
It was because at the time there weren't DCPs, digital prints, available for every film. So we still had to have the means to show film that was only available in a 35 millimeter format as well.
Oh man, that makes total sense. Wow. So, I mean, the amount of investment that you have put back into the business really pays off. I know there's a lot of businesses that a lot of chains are going under right now. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. There was just a press release recently that just announced 2 huge chains just went under. And then you have like Alamo Drafthouse, which is really big, and they're going under. So, like the indie theater industry is in a pinch. What do you think Emagine has that's going to make sure you guys will thrive?
I think it's first and foremost the dedication to our guest experience. And by the way, the chain that just announced that they were closing, Pacific Theaters and ArcLight,
yes,
those folks are really good operators, and their guest experience is second to none as well. I think they had some difficult leases that they were dealing with, and that was probably the underpinning for their situation.
Okay.
We own 7 of our 12 theaters, and so we're not strictly beholden to landlords, which gives us less effective leverage than many operators. And so we went into this pandemic circumstance with a good balance sheet. We have terrific bankers, and I've got great investors who have committed additional capital to ensure that we make it as well.
I mean, that's absolutely, you guys are just brilliant in how you run this operation. Really, I totally respect it.
Well, there's no question, but execution is omnipotent. And before we went on the air, I was telling you about our CEO.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you, since Anthony joined the team, and we've got a terrific chief financial officer in Dirk Colheed, a wonderful chief people officer, and Shelby Langenstein, I've got a team today, along with my direct operations folks, Andy and Trevor.
Yeah.
These are really the people who make it day in, day out. And I would also tell you that I'm really proud of the fact that we continue to keep every single one of our managers, our general managers, on the payroll throughout the last year.
Wow.
And it was designed because these people have the institutional knowledge. They know how to run these theaters impeccably. And that's really what we require. So I think the road back from this circumstance is continued exemplary execution.
Yeah, and really providing that experience is a way to make going to the theater something special again.
Precisely.
I remember when I was younger, like really young, going to the theater was a big deal. It was a family outing. You'd have dinner, and it was a big treat. It was a moment, right? And then later on, theaters kind of got more run down, and you would just go see a $5 or $1 show, but now I think we're going back to the days where going to a theater is special. It is an event. And the fact that you guys are providing an exemplary experience is really indicative of where this thing is going, because it is easy to sit down on the couch. You can have the giant home TV screen now. You can have the surround sound system at home now that doesn't cost a fortune. So you can get all of those things at home, but going to theater, I think, is always going to be something special.
I think so too. And you brought up the point earlier about our continual reinvestment in our facilities. And there's no question, but I believe if we allow one of our venues to be run down, our guests will notice that. And I think when your guests begin to discern that you're not reinvesting in your business, they lose interest in patronizing you. So it's our job to keep them in tip-top condition, provide them with great food and beverage, exemplary picture and sound. And if we do those things, then I think folks will remain raving fans.
Yeah, I mean, and you really do. I just going there, and I mean, of course, the popcorn is great and the drinks are awesome, but I think you have a pizza oven, which is amazing. So you could watch the guy make the pizza right there, throw it into an oven, and then you could just watch it cook, and they pull it right out. Like it's like that's restaurant style pizza for a theater.
Yeah, I mean, we try not to do too many things because I think it's hard to do a lot of things really well. But pizza is important, in my opinion. and look, it's a high quality product. I want it to be a great. If we're going to serve it, I want it to be a great quality product. I want you to really enjoy it, and so we call it display cooking when we're making your pizza right in front of you. And just like Blaze Pizza, pick your toppings. We'll make it right in front of you. You don't want to eat frozen pizza,
right? Yeah, of course. And the fact that you guys really, it is like a boutique service, like you deliver it to the seat. I love
Yes.
that there's assigned seating, so I don't have to sit there and fight with anybody to get my seat, because Lord knows that has happened in the past. This is pretty awesome.
Yeah, we instituted that and got a little bit of pushback from some guests initially,
Really?
but ultimately, I think it's proven to be one of the best things we've ever done in our industry, because now we find that our guests.
This podcast is brought to you by thesuccessfulscreenwriter.com, where you can find instructional books, videos, courses, and screenplays of Hollywood's biggest hits to download. As an added bonus, visit www.thesuccessfulscreenwriter.com to download The Guide for Every Screenwriter for free. Yes, free. Available exclusively at thesuccessfulscreenwriter.com. Now, back to our show.
They can come early and enjoy an adult beverage or relax before the show.
Yeah.
Or they could come late. We usually have 10 minutes worth of trailers, so they can come late and still see the feature. And yet, this is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a night out. You're supposed to be relaxed. So put your feet up, relax, let us serve you. I think all those things combined create a good experience. And that's what we're always striving to do, is give our guests that exemplary experience.
Well, now I really think Emagine Theater are trendsetters that I don't think you get credit for, because a lot of the things that you guys have done and implemented are now standards in the industry. When I think that is absolutely incredible, and it shows the vision that you guys have to be trendsetters, to be on that cutting edge. But and you run a smooth business, but I know, Paul, that hasn't always been the case, and that you started out as the little guy, right? And certain industries were gunning for you.
Yeah, when we had this idea that we could come to Southeast Michigan, we opened a theater in Novi, and it turned out we were only about a mile or so away as the crow flies from a competing theater. And it was the equivalent of what we might call corporate bullying today.
Yeah.
We were up against a competitor that had been in existence since 1930. And Bob's dad had started the company, and now Bob was at the helm, and Bob had plenty of friends in Hollywood. And so when the upstarts came to the marketplace, Bob went to Hollywood and said, hey, wait a minute. I know nobody goes to my theater, but nonetheless, you shouldn't be giving them all the films. In fact, a funny anecdote is a guy from Warner Brothers asking me if I knew what we were doing, building a theater in Novi. And I'll keep it short, but I said, I think so. And he said, well, have you looked at the grosses at the Novi Town Center? And I said, it's moot, because it was exactly what you talked about. It was a sticky floor, older venue. It did not meet the expectations of the marketplace. And I deemed it to be the equivalent of trying to sell Mercedes in a Yugo dealership, or trying to sell Yugos to Mercedes buyers.
Yeah.
The people in Novi, they weren't going to go to a substandard experience. That's why that business was moribund. And our job was, of course, to focus on serving those guests. And that's why I think we've enjoyed some success there.
So initially you had a hard time getting bigger films to release inside your theaters. What did it take to be able to finally break that stigma and start striking deals with these studios to acquire their films?
It was quite a travail, and it was about a 2.5 year process.
Wow.
And we had to hire a new film buyer out in California, a gentleman who had good relationships with studio executives. And then, and this is a little known story, but I discovered that I had to harness the forces of government to further our business interests.
Wow.
And so literally, I had a friend who was the former Speaker of the House of Representatives in Michigan. And Lou said to me, he said, Paul, why don't we introduce a bill that would make what the studios are doing to you a crime under under a theory of antitrust?
Wow.
And so I could show you that proposed bill. We had a sponsor in the House and the Senate. We never ended up introducing it, because the last thing I want to do is be a politician. I wanted to be a businessman.
Right.
But the threat of that, I think, did prove to be of some value when the Motion Picture Association of America decided, maybe we should encourage our members to sell these guys film.
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, 2.5 years, they were trying to put you out of business. There's no question. If they were limiting your access to big budget Hollywood films for 2.5 years, it's a testament to how determined you are to keep going and not let them bully you out of it, because most businesses fold within 3 years. It really is amazing how you were able to work your way out of that.
Well, Geoffrey, I had the privilege of assembling capital from a number of folks that entrusted their money to me. And so the last thing I wanted to do was disappoint them or to lose their money. And so I felt a fiduciary obligation to them. I still have a fiduciary obligation to those folks today to shepherd their investment wisely. But I think that the shepherding their investment wisely largely means do a great job of serving your customer. If you do a great job of serving your guests, then lo and behold, the financial rewards will come.
I think it's a testament to the fact that you're one hell of a businessman. But you're also incredibly humble. Now, we did talk before, and you had told me some up and coming things for the user experience that are coming out in Emagine Theater. And I don't want to spoil it, so I'm going to, of course, ask you to discuss it. But I did mention it to my wife, and she got really excited. So if you could just give us some spoilers on what's to come.
So during this pandemic, we set about redoing our app, giving it a whole facelift and a back shop change and so forth. And our new app, it's very close to being released right now, will allow our guests to purchase their tickets right on their smartphone. And while they're doing so, they can choose their snacks and their beverages. And then because we know where you're sitting with reserved seating, and we know through geofencing when your smartphone enters the building, we can send you a text asking you, would you like your food and beverage delivered now, or respond with the number of minutes? And then what we're planning to do is to bring your food and beverage right to your seat. So we've gone from standing in line to buy a ticket, standing in line thereafter to buy your snacks, herding together to run in and get your favorite seat, to now just come on in, sit down, and we'll serve you.
That's awesome.
I think that's the right way to treat guests.
Oh my God, it's absolutely amazing. Just the ability to kind of mosey in at your own pace and relax and take that pressure off, and then to be waited on that way. I mean, it makes you feel like royalty, like bring me my gummy bears and Slurpee. It's pretty absolutely amazing, and I probably will do that in the theater. I do want to ask you about something, and I don't know if this is anything you guys have considered. If not, that's totally fine. But I always wonder, subscription-based services are so popular right now. Is that ever something that you think Emagine will entertain?
Yeah, we've actually taken a pretty hard look at it, and we may introduce something that's similar to what Cinemark is doing, where for a certain price, you accumulate tickets, and if you don't use them, they're usable the next month and so forth. And as long as you remain a member, your tickets don't go away. And so, we would certainly consider that. Concurrently, I think that we found other ways that are pretty similar to address that same interest, which is, for example, we have what's called a platinum membership, where you can buy 35 tickets in advance for $10 a piece. Come anytime, and then we have a special concierge who will serve you along with that membership. And then we've got, of course, Bargain Day on Tuesday. $5 tickets. And so if price is really that critically important to you, then come on Tuesday. And I think we've got discount popcorn too for our members. So
that's awesome.
So I think there are everybody is going to find a different way to serve their guests. But, you mentioned the concept of treating our guests like royalty. Yeah. I would just simply profit this. If we don't treat our guests like royalty, somebody might.
So it better be us. Yeah.
Yeah, I want it to be us. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, I'm going to have to look into that platinum membership now, because I want to have a platinum membership. It sounds fancy.
It is. It's very fancy. You'll enjoy it. You can use it. You can give the tickets to your friends.
Oh, that's cool. Very good. So, I'm looking forward to this new experience with Emagine Theatres. I'm really excited that you've run this business and you have people around this business that are ensuring its future through some pretty tough times. I mean, we're going through a once in a lifetime experience here, once in a generation, and this will be known as a world changer. I mean, we're seeing the effects of it now after only a year of businesses that are dropping, that are failing, and then the system itself restructuring. I was worried because, like I said, this was my church, and I was worried theaters were going to kind of go the way of the roller rink or the bowling alley, where there was a ton and now there's only like 2. And I think a little bit of that is happening. We're seeing that happen, but I'm really glad to see that Emagine Theater is able to really ensure their future. And Paul, it's a testament to you and the people around you and the quality of theaters. And I just really wanted to say thank you so much for being on with us.
Real pleasure, Geoffrey. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share in your social media where you can tag us at The Successful Screenwriter.